In this video, we're going to simulate a e-commerce shopping cart experience. So the first step is going to be add a new screen, and we're going to call it the items list. And then we're going to add one more screen, and we're going to call it the shopping cart. So on the items list, we're going to have a data grid that lists a bunch of items that we can add to our cart. So the first step is going to be create a new data master called items, and we're going to give it 3 fields. So we need an item name, an item description, and the price of the item. And text is fine for all these. And you can of course add as many fields as you want. You could have an ID for the item, you could have a picture for the item, and if you wanted to make a picture, you would do a file upload. But for this, I think 3 is fine. We're then gonna press OK. I'm gonna go back into this items, view and edit records, and I'm gonna delete all those sample texts, and I'm gonna create 3. I'm gonna have item 1. Sample text is fine for description for now. And let's put some prices in. So item 1 will be $4. Item 2 will be $3, and item 3 is going to be $10. I'm just going to press OK. So now, in order to get that to show up on the screen, I'm going to go down in my widgets into the data section. So here's data grids. I'm going to get a data grid and just click on it, and I'm going to call it items, and I'm going to select the items data master, and I'm going to bring over all the fields because I want to see all of them. I'm going to press OK, and then I can just drop it in here. So I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. So what we need is one more column that's going to say add to cart or add to order. So in order to do that, I'm going to right click on the data grid, and you see there's this new column option, so I'm going to click that. It just adds an extra column here. I'm going to take a label and drop it in there into the header section, and I'm going to call this column add to cart. Just going to make it a little smaller. Now, right now I made a mistake and it's not in the data grid, and you can tell that because the data grid is blue, and if I were to double click on the data grid, see, it's no longer blue, so I can actually add things into the data grid now. So I'm going to add a button that when clicked is going to add these items to my cart. So I'm going to go down here, get the button widget, drop it in here, and just say add. So just to see what that looks like, we can simulate it. And you see it has the 3 items that we entered, the price, and then that add button, which was applied to every row, even though it looked like it was only going to be in one row. I'm just going to center this a little bit more. Okay. Now, the next thing we want to do is go into our shopping cart screen. And we're going to take another data grid. We're going to call it cart. We're going to go into the items data master. And this time I'm going to bring over the name and the price. I don't think we need the description. It'll be a little redundant. So we'll press OK. We will drop it in here. It's a little low. Let me bring it up. Shrink it a little bit. And again, I think we need another column for quantity. So I'm going to go right click, new column. I could just copy and paste this label into here and call it quantity instead of price. And for quantity, I'm going to get an input box and drop it in there. So here's input, and I'm just going to place it in there. I'm going to shrink it down a little bit to around that size. So that input box right there will allow me to type in the quantity I want. So I'm going to go back to the items list. Let me bring this up. And we need a button that's going to link over to the shopping cart. So go down and get a button widget, and drag it onto the screen, and say view cart. So now we need to take the data that is added and make it show up in the shopping cart on this shopping cart screen. So to do that, we're gonna create a variable. So I'm gonna go into variable, and we're gonna call it, let me just delete this. We're gonna call it order items. We're going to press OK. We are going to click on the add button. We're going to add an event to that button. We're going to say when that add button's clicked, we're going to set the value. And we're going to set the value on the variable order items, and we're going to calculate that variable. So we're going to go down, we're going to go into collections, we're going to get the data plus, bring it up here, and it's going to be calculated as this entire row, the row with the data in it, plus whatever's currently in that variable. So basically what this is going to do is it's going to loop through and keep adding. We're basically creating an array within that variable order items. We're going to press OK and OK again. Now this view cart, we just have to link over to the shopping cart, so I'm going to add an event to that and say link to the shopping cart. Hit OK. And let's simulate it. Let's see what we have so far. So let's say I want to add this item and I want to add item 3. And I'm going to view my cart. See, we have all 3 right now because we did not add the event that's going to filter through to only show the values that we wanted added. So I'm going to go back to the shopping cart, and I'm going to add another event, And this event's going to be on page load. We are going to set the value on the entire data grid. So I'm just going to select this, and this time the value will be calculated as just one thing. It's going to be whatever's in order items. Hit OK, and OK again. Go back to the items list and simulate it. This time, when I select item 1 and item 3 and hit view cart, it should only show me the 2. Yes, I only have the 2. So I can then choose a quantity, but then what do I do with it? I need to have some sort of total calculation, so let's add that. So let's go back to the shopping cart, get a label, can put it somewhere down here, call it the total, get another label. This label will store the value of the total, and shrink it down a bit, and we'll just delete that. It's just going to be an empty label. So we're going to say when this total is clicked, we're going to set the value on the empty label, and it's going to be calculated, and we're going to calculate it as the sum, which is in collections, and it's the sum of the cart and the price within that cart times, so I just gotta go back to the general and get the times, it's not where I wanted it, there we go, times the quantity that's entered here, and I press OK and OK again. So let's go through, simulate it one more time. So we're gonna add item 1 and item 3, view my cart. I have item 1 and item 3. I'm gonna get 3 of item 3 and 1 of item 1, so that should give me $34. I'm gonna hit total, and I have $34. I should have made this total a button, but that's okay, you get the idea. One more thing we're going to do before this tutorial's over is change the styling of this add button, because right now you can't really tell that it was clicked. So I'm going to go down here into the interaction that we already have, which is the set value. I'm going to hit this down and add another action, and we're going to change the style. So when that button's clicked, we're going to change the style of it, and let's say we just change the color, and we're going to make it, I don't know, dark gray. Okay, and let's simulate it. Okay, so now you can you can play around with the styling, but now you can tell that it was actually clicked, and we have everything working as it should.